All right, my friends, so today we're going to be talking about Splay skate, a new skate shoe on the market. If you're someone who's regularly watched my videos or someone who's just stumbling across, I want just to point out that most of the videos I upload are for the purpose of, learning how to skateboard, progressing on it, on the board. And so that's still the focus, but here and there people get curious, ask some questions about what I'm wearing or what I'm using to skateboard. So there are going to be some videos that kind of talk about that. So this is one of them. I've been skating this shoe a little over 6 months. I could be wrong and it could be closer to a year, but point is I feel very comfortable with the shape of it. If you can see, it looks a little duck footy, definitely a wide toe box. So the idea is for a skate shoe to be in the silhouette of a barefoot shoe, which is wide toe box where your feet can spread, your toes can spread, and a zero drop where there's no heel lift, right? The idea behind that is that your feet have the freedom to move the way it would, through our evolutionary, through the span of our evolution, right? Because shoes are kind of a new thing, and but obviously with skateboarding you kind of need, well, actually with everything nowadays, because of how everything's designed, we need shoes, right? But it kind of got to the extreme where there's so much cushion, and then so much restriction on the foot because we want to overprotect it. And so barefoot shoes became a thing, and now we're seeing the first barefoot skate shoe with Splay shoes. And so, first off, some things that are very noticeable are the wide toe box compared to something a bit more thinner, like my Brian shoes here. Maybe we can put them side to side. You can see how the toe box is definitely much wider on mine. And so how that pretty much affected my skating as I first stepped on the board was I felt like my pinky needed to touch the board a bit more. So instead of being okay with just kind of having it out here, it slightly had me bringing my foot a bit more in so I can feel more of the board when I'm pushing or doing tricks. And so that was something I realized right away. But then also, as I started to skate with them, my foot did fatigue a bit quicker, like my tendons and knees, like calves, everything just got a bit more work. Like it was definitely, there's definitely a tolerance I had to build with skating these shoes. Right now I'm using some insoles that kind of reduce that, that need to strengthen my foot. But right away also it by default strengthens your foot because there's not so much cushion. They are working on a new model that's going to have more support for your for your foot, because with skateboarding you kind of need that. And then they're going to work on the overall shoe just so it can function a bit more. So this one right away, it pretty much looks like a Vans, right? Like a Vans slip-ons. But the difference between the Vans slip-ons or just any other shoe and this one is that your feet aren't going to be restricted. And so what that means is when you're on the board doing tricks, you're really going to have a lot of good board feel. It's already good enough when you get a thin shoe like one of those that he's wearing, a Converse or a Vans, but it's even much more improved because now not only do I feel with my toes, but I also feel with my pinky toe because it's allowed to move the way it should. And so that's kind of something that was different. It felt weird, but as I adjusted to it, it was actually so cool when I switched up the stance and I started to skate switch and kind of experiment with my board feel. So tricks like a big spin where you have to spin or put a power very, how do I say this, like place a very certain amount of power for the spin. When I changed to the Splay shoes, it felt like I even had to tone it down. Like, it wasn't something where I had to force the pop so much. Like, everything was much more reactive, is what I'm trying to say. So instead of popping mentally harder for a kickflip, all I had to do was make sure that I jumped. I mean, obviously everything included, but it felt like less, how do I say this? Like, I just felt more connected to my snap and the flick. Like, I didn't feel like I had to really feel the flick, if that makes sense, because it's already I already have that ability with just the way the foot silhouette is shaped. And so that was different. And then as I continue to skate it now, you know, from 6 months to a year in the shoes, it's very refreshing, because I've always appreciated shoes that, you know, provided good board feel, and so these just took it up another level. So if you're someone who really likes to have board feel with their shoes, I highly recommend this. If you're someone who skates like the Tiago New Balances 1010s, or just a thicker, you know, more of a cup sole feel, I feel it definitely will be a hard, not a hard, I don't want to say sell, because it's not like I'm trying to sell you it, but what I'm trying to say is it's gonna be hard trying to try these shoes on, especially if you've never really gravitated to Vans, Janowski's, Converse, and shoes like that. But if you're someone who gravitates to more board feel, like a Volk, which is traditionally what a Volk is, you're definitely gonna have a good time with these shoes. Now, something that is also something good to mention is when you get the slip-ons and the shoelaces, the biggest difference is the shoelaces from these were not that great, so you might have to you know, get some new ones. They're working on that, and I'm not too sure when they're gonna come out with the new versions, but what I will say is that's pretty much the only problem I had. Other than that, I feel like the suede actually worked in my favor, and I didn't rip it so fast. And I'm not sure if that's because of the shape of the foot. You know, usually with a pointier shoe, this part right here, where the kickflip is, or tray flip, really wastes real quick. Like, you can see right here, it's evenly distributed. Like, it's kind of evenly wasted.
It wastes way longer.
It lasts way longer, and I'm not sure if that's because of the material or because of the shape of the foot, but regardless, it's lasting way longer, and that's honestly super refreshing, because the last thing I want to do is skate the shoe for a day or two, and then it's already with a ripped hole. So I think that's actually a great job. I'm not sure how intentional that was, because it was one of the first, like, it's basically the second variation of skate shoes that they have, right? So they came out with a very generic one, and then they added you know, a bit more structure on the bottom and for the S series, and now they're doing some more alterations and just improving the shoe. But this is the overall design. It's a little splay. This is for only the slip-ons. Obviously there's other ones and they have slight variations of the logos, but I think this is super cool. It's kind of like an extra suede, I think, or actually I'm not sure, maybe actually there's just stitching there. But you see, I thought this would rip real quick for the Splay shoes, but it didn't actually last. And there are times where I did a lot of heel flips and this kind of wastes out, but still this kind of keeps intact. And also something else that I didn't mention is when I was skating shoes before this, I had to wear a 10.5 because I needed more space on my for my toes, or else I would callus super bad. And so I compensated by getting a 10.5, whereas these I can get true to my size, which is size 10, nothing less, nothing more. Actually, I could probably walk around in a 9.5 or skate, because once they break in they'll feel okay. But size 10 is perfect, and you know, I'm definitely gonna stick to this size, especially if I add cushion. If you're someone who wants real, like a lot of board feel, take out the cushion and don't use the impact insert that they offer, then you could probably get a half, even a whole size down, because I know a lot of people, they get a half size bigger so that they get some room on the sides. They don't know that. I think it's something subconscious, but what they're really doing is giving their toes more room. Here you don't have to, because that's just the design of the shoe. You automatically give your toes more room, and so that's kind of what that provides. Let me see, I'm trying to think what else I can mention. What do you think I can mention?
Bottom of the foot.
Oh, the bottom of the shoe is very durable. Like, I've been skating this for a couple days, maybe a week already, maybe longer. Honestly, I need to keep track. You guys can actually, oh, it's because I switch out from shoe to shoe. I've been skating it for a week for sure, and you can see that, well, the bottom is just good. And I push evenly with my regular foot and my switch foot, but let me show you my switch foot. Look, nothing. And I'm like, I don't have any chiller shoes at the moment. Usually I take off my skate shoes and then I put on some shoes that I can relax in. I haven't been doing that yet. These are the shoes I'm putting on in the morning and don't take off till I get home. So these are,
yeah, like showing how with pointy shoes, the middle waist.
Yeah, so for other shoes you can see like this kind of waist. This isn't a skate shoe, so it's not really a fair comparison, but
no,
but this happens in a lot of shoes where you'll see it just kind of flatten out, whereas with the Splays, you know, that's honestly non-existent. I have no idea of the design and why it does that, or how come it lasts longer, but it does.
But
I just care about the skating. But
well, I think it's because everything's when you
right. I mean, well, I'm saying this part right here, but as far as because I'm more concerned of this waisting. Usually when I would push on my other shoes, this big area right here in the middle, the toe, would be the one like wasting away because of so much pushing and just like a lot of, you know, when you skate and you're trying to grip your board, it's a lot of pressure on just that big toe. You know, you're relying on your big toe a lot, whereas here you use your all your toes to navigate the board. And so that's been super awesome to experience and just kind of get used to. Like I said, there is a little adjustment period, or actually I don't think I mentioned that. For me, it was like a month. I was okay with that because I knew that overall I was gonna benefit so much more from skating these shoes than just damn, you gotta watch out, dude, the wind. I lost track.
You're benefiting.
Yeah, it's like the long-term benefit would overweigh the short-term benefit or short-term pain of like, oh my god, this feels kind of different, kind of weird, and so on and so forth. You think I should mention anything else? I'm trying to remember. And I'm gonna make more videos of this. Definitely me skating. You can clearly see I've already skated this.
I think you mentioned how it was more reactive. Like,
yeah, more reactive.
And maybe that's because you're using more muscles.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, to elaborate on that, because, you know, I had that realization that, like, damn, I don't have to try as hard. Everything's so much more reactive. I realized that it was only because more of my foot was working together instead of just relying on the power of my, like, three main toes on my foot. I was using everything, you know what I mean? So it just was by default stronger. 5 fingers or 5 toes are stronger than 3. You know, even though your big toe is the strongest one, it doesn't mean it can't use the support of the rest of the 4.
I think I heard somewhere where the pinky, without the pinky, these other 4 fingers are like
so much
way weaker.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
So I mean, imagine trying to push with only your 3 or 4 fingers. You know, you need this part. You need your pinky.
Yeah, like it gives that.
Right.
Like trying to pull just like this.
Right. And the truth is, sometimes the shoes we were wearing are even compromising the big toe, and it has it feeling very restrictive, very squished. And so even when you're applying pressure through your foot, you're really just applying pressure through these 3 right here. And so imagine, do you think these 3 are stronger than the full 5, or what's really going on, right? So it's your whole foot can utilize its strength.
Yeah.
And so that's been super awesome, because everything just feels more I don't want to say easier, but reactive, but also like it's not as, I don't have to put so much effort into tricks that I could do, like a kickflip. Like, you know, that one should feel very, oh my god, that one should feel very easy, and sometimes it doesn't if your foot doesn't feel comfortable. It's not really the shoes, it's how the foot reacts to the shoes. I guess that's my thesis, or my summary. But yeah, that's gonna be the end of this video. I do have a promo code if you're interested in that. I want to check out these shoes. It's gonna be in the description below, and I'll leave it at that. Otherwise, let me know what other videos you'd want me to make. This channel is primarily focused on progression, introducing you to skateboarding and stuff like that. So leave those comments, hit me up at profe.carlos, or otherwise ask what else I can talk about, or what other questions you might have pertaining to the Splay shoes. Yeah, so let's finish it off with a little tray flip. Okay, peace out.